Legion, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi, and today we're going to do our EU4 1.30 starting moves guide for the nation of Ardabil. In this guide, we'll be going over the starting diplomatic situation, early wars, forming Persia, later expansion, and the ideas that you should be going for. If we get the video to 1,000 likes, I'm also going to do a Akoyunlu starting moves guide. And guys, if you do enjoy watching my videos once in a while, do consider subscribing. It would really mean the world to me. I am trying to get to 50,000 subscribers so that I can qualify for sponsorship, which would let me upgrade my computer. That in turn would allow me to make videos faster for you, my viewers. Ardabil's starting situation is a little bit of a special one. You start off with a few cores on your neighbors, namely Biapas together with Ajam, and you want to get these cores back. You also have an alliance from the very first day with the nation of Gilan, which also has a core on Biapas. So on the 11th, you can attack Biapas without any problems and split them in half with your ally, or take everything for yourself depending on what you want to go for. 90% of the time you're not going to be able to get any allies. Sometimes if you improve relations with Mushasha, or if you have the availability of getting a royal marriage with them, you can easily get an alliance with them, but they're not going to be a great ally, at least for the very start. However, if it is available, definitely go for the alliance with Mushasha, but do not rely on it. Rival wise, of course, you're going to be rivaling Biapas, and you're also going to be rivaling Shirvan, as that is the only other option that you have to rival. You have a few special interactions because of your government type, such as the construction cost minus 15%, dev cost in capital state by 20% reduction, and a CB on all heretical or heathen neighbors, basically a holy war CB. You're not going to use any of those. The main focus right now is literally just going to be getting our provinces back from Biapas. We're also going to hire a advisor, namely a discipline or morale of armies advisor, and we're going to be focusing on the military points. You also have the announce the sect practices available. Do not go for it right now, as that's going to give you 10 legalism. We right now have minus 100, so we are basically full on mysticists, which give us an extra 10% morale of armies. So that means despite having a small army, we have a lot of morale, and they can definitely pack quite a bit of a punch. What we will be doing is we'll be hiring the free company, but before we do that, we are going to be slackening recruitment, which is going to lower our professionalism by 5%, but it's going to give us 2,000 manpower. The reason why we do this is because once you hire mercenaries, your professionalism is going to be lowered anyway. So instead of just losing that professionalism from hiring mercenaries, we make better use of it by slackening recruitment standards, thus getting extra manpower. When it comes to your estate, we're going to summon the diet and go for whichever agenda best suits us, followed up by seizure of land to get an extra 5% crownlands. For the Amirs, we'll be giving supremacy over the crown, for the Ulema over cyber the Ulema, and expansion as zealotry, which gives us an extra 5% morale of armies against heretical and heathen nations, which means against Ajam and Biapas, as these are going to be our first two wars. For the Merchants Guild, we'll be giving the free enterprises patronage of the arts that gets us another 15 prestige and monopoly on dies, and for the Dhimis, promote the Dhimi nobles for an extra leader without upkeep. I have been asked quite a few times, why don't you just give out the +1 monthly military power and so on, and then just go for the estate statutory event that grants you back some crownlands? Well, if you haven't seen on Twitch, I had a game as Hissen Kaifa where it took me 100 years to get rid of the estate statutory, and as such I lost a ton of money because of that, from the extra 25 autonomy that you get in each one of your provinces from having estate statutory. Giving out the +1 is a good boost in the early game, but it can really backfire and screw you over in the long run. It honestly is easier just waiting for 15 to 20 years to get the crownlands you need and give these out as you go along. There are some exceptions to this, but for beginners, honestly, I highly recommend you don't do that. It can be quite tough to manage the estates when you have too much influence, and getting the estate statutory gives you a lot of extra influence, which means you will not be able to revoke the estate statutory and a few other privileges. A month has passed, and we are going to be declaring war on Biapas. As you can see, Gilan definitely would love to join this war if we grant them a little bit of land. We're not going to do that, however, because we can handle this war by ourselves. We've also sent our 2 merchants to collect trade in Persia as well as in Astrakhan. It's literally giving us almost nothing, but better use these merchants up, otherwise it's literally just a waste of them. It can happen that Biapas allies sometimes either Shirvan, or it can also ally Akoyunlu. I've seen it ally Hissen Assistant Khalifa 2. If it does have some stronger ally and you need some help, definitely call in Gillen. They will be more than happy to help you out in the war against Biapas. If you don't need their help, however, then no need to bring them in. Otherwise, you'd be losing favors by not granting them lands, and they would break the alliance with you. We finally sieged down all of Biapas, mainly because we had a spy network that helped us out siege everything faster. Do remember, having a spy network in the nation you are attacking gives you siege ability, so always make sure you get a spy network before you declare a war. Now, whilst I declared my war, my friend and good ally Gillen also declared their war against Biapas. So what I'm gonna do here is what we call a pro gamer move, where I'm only taking back my core and I am vassalizing Biapas, as well as I'm gonna force religion, get all the money they have, and by vassalizing Biapas, I'm actually going to be in a war against Gillen. We're gonna go with the vassalization, and because we are now at war with Gillen, it means that I'm gonna be destroying their armies before they even get a chance to do anything about it. Gonna start conquering their capital here. They're black flagged, so that means they have to come back here in order to not be black flagged, and I'm just gonna wait for them. So despite not even finishing the siege of Gillen, we've been declared on by Ajam. This is definitely not good, and this can happen in a lot of your games. If this happens and you are in my situation here, finish your siege of Gillen first, since we are going to be going for the most pro gamer move again, namely we are going to be making them our vassal, since we want to have as many vassals as possible to fight against Ajam here. Despite them not being the most loyal of vassals, it does give us an extra 2 forts that Ajam has to go through before they get to us. And also, Ajam's army is likely not going to be massive. It's almost the same as ours, only roughly around double our size. But we do have an ace up our sleeves. We will be recruiting mercenary units. So the mercenary units that we'll be going for are going to be the units that have the best shock damage and siege damage, with an emphasis on shock damage. We can recruit the auxiliaries, and we will be recruiting them over here. Make sure we bring our own army there as well, so that we don't get that mercenary unit stack wiped. The best advice I can give you in this situation is try to take out the smaller units that Ajam has before they get a chance of even merging up with their main stack. You should have the morale advantage because of mysticism and because of your prestige and the privilege, so you should have roughly around 0.5 extra morale compared to your enemy armies. That was a great stack wipe that we really needed. We're going to continue this trend here. We're going to be stack wiping as many of their armies as we can stack wipe to get a bit of war score going, and we are going to be making sure that their army here doesn't take out our capital. Before you engage, make sure your army has a full morale, and also make sure that your armies are at full regimental strength. You can also pull out the troops from the fort. You can sortie and get an extra 1,000 units from that siege, which will help you out in the battle to come. Do remember, you should have the morale advantage here, so it shouldn't be a very tough battle overall. There you go. We're actually winning without even sallying out our extra 1,000 troops, but we will do this just so I can show off that you get an extra 1,000 units by sallying out your troops here. As I said, this OPM is ridiculously strong. Also, remember to get your spy network in Ajam whilst you're doing this. The worst thing that can happen right now is Karakoyunlu attacking us, so let's just hope that doesn't happen. It is important that you fight your battles against smaller armies. As you can see, I won a lot of small battles here against mainly 1,000 units. That gave me a lot of war score, and I'm even sieging down right now the fort of Kazvin, which is going to let me take provinces in this war. Do remember that Ajam is always going to have more cash and more manpower than you. I managed to drain a lot of their manpower, but they've recruited the Free Company, which the Free Company itself is bigger than my Free Company since they are a much larger nation. So overall, I'm just literally buying my time here, trying to go for this one fort. Even if I win all the engagements, I will eventually run out of manpower. Also, don't stress about loans. You can get up to 100 loans, so you don't need to worry about going bankrupt anytime soon, and we are going to be able to pay off these loans with the money that we take from Ajam. It is important though that you take this one fort in Kazvin whenever you get a chance to, so focus on that. Also remember to get a spy network in Ajam to get this fort faster, and also whenever you want to attack and destroy their armies, wait for the locked movement indicator, which means that they're not going to be able to retreat from this battle, and which also means that we're going to be wiping them out in the province of Sultania right here. Their troops are likely not going to help also, since they have their main goal of taking down our capital, and because of that goal they're actually going to lose the war, since they're not really focusing their their troops properly where they should be focusing them. They did discover our spy network. That's pretty sad, but at the same time, it doesn't matter anymore because we got the province that we wanted to take, and we have the fort, which is literally all that we need in order to peace out. You cannot peace out if they own the war goal being Ardabil, so you need to make sure you kill them out of this province here. Do remember, they have a lot less morale than you do because of your prestige, privilege, and mysticism, which is why we want to keep that at 100 unless everything goes to schnitzel. We're gonna wipe them out here. That's gonna be actually pretty good since they cannot retreat because of the fort in Kazvin, and with their armies wiped and with this province taken also, we almost have 100 war score that we can get here. We're gonna go for these 4 provinces. These are vital provinces actually. If you can get this one province here too, that is perfect. Wow, we can even get 2 provinces. Do take note, however, that if you go too far into this area in the beginning, you're gonna get the Timurids pissed at you, so you want to keep away from that area as much as possible. Peace them out since you need to peace out as soon as you can, otherwise Karakonyulu might be interested in you. I was really lucky actually because they attacked Hissan Kaifa first. Normally it's a choice between them attacking Hissan Kaifa or you. If they attack you, what some players are doing is they are intentionally becoming the vassal of Karakonyulu, which they will use your CBs to attack Ajam afterwards. I personally am not a big fan of that strategy, but it is what it is. Sometimes you might need to go down that path. Now we're going to pay off all of our loans since we have the money from Ajam, and we can get some new rivals here. We're going to go for Mazandran. It is recommended that you lower war exhaustion to lower the cost of coring these up before you do core them up. You can also at this point either recycle your patronage of the earth to get extra prestige, or if you have above 50 for all of these estates, you can get an extra 5% crownlands, which I recommend so that you can get the next privilege, which grants you 1 extra mana per month. By the way guys, if you are interested in watching me play live these guides that I'm showing you over on YouTube, I am doing daily streams over on Twitch between 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Japan time. You can find the link in the description, and you can ask me any questions you have about the guides that I make or the videos in general, as well as you can chill with me during those live streams. Whilst your cores are being built on the newly added provinces from Ajam, you want to attack both Mazandran and Shirvan. A lot of the times they actually ally each other. Now what I also recommend is that you get your trader in the Persian trade node to have the hostile trading policy, which gives you 25% spy network construction in all of the nations within this trade node, including Ajam, Mazandran, Shirvan, and Karakoyunlu. This means that your spy network is going to be built a lot faster, and that's great for us because we want to have a spy network instantly in these provinces so that we can attack these nations. Once you get your cores, before you attack, check out maybe you can get some alliances. We can get our alliance with Mushasha. It's not amazing, but it's better than nothing. And we can also get an alliance with Georgia, but I would hold out on that one since because they are at war with Shirvan, they might actually call you into their war, and you don't want that to happen right now since you want to start your own separate war. We are going to be attacking Mazandran. Their ally Shirvan's not going to join because they have a really bad situation with the war against the Georgians. We are going to wipe out their army and take both of their provinces for our own. We don't want to make them our vassals since we already have too many vassals, and we need to have the province of Amol in order to form Persia, which is after all the main goal for us right now. Make sure you keep your spy network in Mazandran so that you can get the fort in Amol faster. And once you see that Karakonyulu peaced out from their war against Hissan Kaifa or whoever nation they are at war with, you got to be on the lookout. They might attack you, and if they do attack you, then we really need to focus on that war more than any other wars around. Once you see that one of your mercenary companies doesn't really have that many available troops in their manpower pool, you can actually disband them. They're not going to be of too much use to us if they don't have the manpower to recover from battles. Because this mercenary company, however, has the 2 siege general that we need for this war, we will be disbanding this guy after the war. This siege took a really freaking long time, especially since we had a 2 siege general, and it still took almost 2 years to siege that one province. They managed to even get back their army in the meanwhile. They actually recruited infantry units, regular ones, not mercenaries, because they had the time to spare. Now, I was lucky because Echo unit didn't attack me yet, but I do see that they finished their war against Hissan Kaifa, so I am quite worried. As such, I want to finish this war fast. I've also recruited a few extra units in the meanwhile for the wars to come, as we will be needing needing them. And I am going to be fully annexing this nation here. I'm not worried about a coalition. It's literally just Ajam and Mazandran, so it's not really any sort of an issue. There we go. Fully annexed, as we do need these provinces. And this fort here in Amol, since it is a mountain fort, is going to prove extremely useful. Since we've also recruited this army here, we're going to be disbanding this other one, since it is making us go over our force limit, and it's not even getting back its troops, so it's kind of useless. We can also go for the expand Ardabil mission that gives us a little bit more development that will actually help us out a little bit. We'll be coring up everything here, and we have been warned by Karakoyunlu, so we cannot declare war on anybody that we both border. That means I cannot declare war on Shirvan unless I want to be fighting Karakoyunlu also. That being said, we really need to get ready for our war against Karakoyunlu. Since we have no way around this, we have to fight them. As expected, Karakoyunlu attacked us for the province of Ardabil, our capital. Now, before anything else, what we're going to do is we're going to set the defensive edict in all of our provinces where we have forts. So that means 3 of them in my case. In your case, depends on wherever you have your forts. And we are going to be fighting this the same way we fought the Ajam War. We will be going for the small battles, avoid the big engagements, as they literally will have more troops than us. And because we now can actually take some proper loans, we're going to be getting some proper mercenary companies here. One of the best things you can do is go for the Indebted to the Merchants Guild, which gives you 5 loans, all of which at 1% interest rate. So that means you're basically paying back almost nothing. 0.16 interest for 200 ducats that will be very useful for us during this war. Don't be shy, recruit whatever companies you can recruit. I really just need cannon fodder, so I'm gonna go for the Tabaristan company in Ardabil so I can merge it up with my main army faster. If your vassals are loyal by now, and they should be loyal, make sure you set them to supportive, which means that they're gonna attach themselves to your main armies and use your armies as one main attack force. Hold on the main war goal though, so that means if they do attack Ardabil, if that is their main war goal, of course, you got to make sure they don't take it, otherwise they get a lot of war score for that. After quite a few extra loans and a lot of sieging down, especially the northern part, and a few battles too, we did eventually manage to win this. We got 100% war score, and we're gonna go for the northern part, including their capital of Tabriz. And these areas here, I would normally get Bayazid, so I have access to Akoyunlu, but Akoyunlu is allied to the Ottomans, and I really do not want to mess with the Ottomans, especially at this point. If you guys cannot handle a few loans, I recommend that you, instead of take so many provinces, take a couple less provinces and take more cash from them. You can take up to 470. However, for the more experienced players, I recommend that you take the land so that you can actually gain a bit more of an economical base and a lot more expansion paths into the northern areas, whilst we all know that economies can be easily fixed. I did lower my war exhaustion a little bit using Diplo points, which is why I'm quite a little bit behind with my Diplo tech and quite a lot with my admin tech, but most importantly, we did manage to keep up with military tech, which is the one that really matters in the early game. Take out the extra rebels that you have around the country before you start disbanding your mercenary companies, and plan your expansion within the northern areas as well as within the south, since the truce with Ajam should be expiring any moment now. We only have until 63 to finish consolidating the northern part before we got to go into a second war against Ajam, where we can take everything we need to take so that we can actually form Persia. Fast forwarding a little bit, we've consolidated the northern area here with a nice border with the nation of Avaria. We've also taken the province of Yazd from the Timurids, as they've been diminished quite a bit, and we managed to get an alliance with Afghanistan in the process. They actually did most of the work against the Timurids, but that gave us the chance of taking the one province of Yazd that we need in order to form Persia. Despite Ardabil's ideas being great, we want to get the Persian ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to yes please on the traditions and ambitions, meaning that we first off become an empire, and that is going to help us out so much, as all of the Persian cultures are now an accepted culture as if it was our own, and the Persian ideas are ridiculously great. You got morale of armies, cav combat ability, manpower, goods produced, discipline, caravan power, which is great. We will have the majority of the Persian trade node, and that is the trade node that we want to hold all of the Asian trade in from going into the European parts. You also get prestige and production efficiency, manpower recovery, and national tax. Aside from that, you get access to the Persian missions, which despite not being that many, still are quite decent and give out quite a few claims on our surroundings here. So when it comes to your later expansion, after you've managed to consolidate the Caucasus, make sure you finish off whatever is left of Ajam and their vassals. Do remember that if you actually fully annex Ajam, their vassals become your vassals, so you can do that and avoid a lot of extra aggressive expansion from taking these provinces directly. Finish off Karakoyunlu and make your way into the Timurid lands. You want to start munching on to Fars, Khorasan, as well as munching on Transoxiana and Afghanistan, so that we can filter in the trade from Samarkand, Lahore, and Hormuz within the Persian Bay via Basra, of course. Right now we got 40% of this. We're gonna send our merchant from here. Instead of collecting there, we're gonna ask him to transfer from Basra, and the one that we have in Astrakhan, we're gonna ask him to transfer from Samarkand, thus making it a lot more efficient, the amount of gold that we get from the Persian trade node. One thing I have to warn you about is the fact that you will likely be stuck with Admin Tech 3 simply because you've been coring up all of the lands you took, and that can be pretty bad after you've formed Persia and you've gotten your expansion path cleared up and all the other claims that come with Persia. I recommend that you wait for a while. These are permanent claims, so they're not going away anywhere. Make sure that you focus on your admin points, get an admin advisor, and start getting back up with your technology. Once you do get Admin Tech 5 and you can unlock your ideas, I recommend that you go for quantity ideas as your first idea set. Will help you out quite a lot in the wars to come. As your second idea set, I recommend, depending on whether you have admin or Diplo, but I think you will be having Diplo points, I recommend you go for trade ideas, because as you can imagine, going for trade means you can filter in all the Asian trade into Persia, blocking it from going into the European parts, thus making yourself richer and the Europeans poorer. Whenever you get an admin idea, I recommend going for religious, as you are going to be one of the very few Shia nations in a sea of Sunni and pretty much everything else religious wise, so you're going to get the amazing Dawesvold CB against pretty much everybody around you. Later down the line, you can also go exploration ideas if you want and start colonizing the Malaccan trade areas in Australia, as well as make your way into the south of Africa, thus getting access to the gold mines in Kilwa as well as the ones in Mutapa. If you want to play toll, you can also go for economic, which mixes great in with quantity and with your own -20 dev cost reduction and the capital state from the government interaction. It's going to be really cheap deving up provinces. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as leave the bell button on to get notified whenever I release a new guide. If we get the video to 1,000 likes, I'm also going to do a guide on the nation of Akoyunlu, so don't forget to leave a like if you like to see a guide for that nation. And I also want to give a very big thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support you've been offering me. I wouldn't be here without you right now. If anybody else wants to become a patron or a channel member, you can check the links in the description. So until the next one, have a great day, everybody.